Dry skin is a huge issue, especially really postmenopausally. And as you get, through the transition and like get into your late 50s and early 60s, that's when the dry skin, I think, really starts to come on. And it's sort of a challenge, honestly, because patients will come in and they're using heavy moisturizers because they need them. But you also don't have that rapid epidermal turnover that you used to have. So this is when you start seeing this milia phenomenon, which is the plague of women in their 60s and even into the 70s. And I can't, so much time is spent taking milia out of people because it's a problem. You got to balance the moisturization with the fact that you don't have as good an epidermal turnover. You've got to either use a little exfoliation, use something with a hydroxy acid in it, or you have to do a little bit of exfoliating from time to time. That's where some of the nice in-office procedures that aren't super aggressive, I think, come into play, like microdermabrasion and hydrofacials and things like that. But it is hard. It's hard to balance the moisturization.
Yeah, I've never really thought of it that way with the slower epidermal turnover.
Oh, yeah, it's
and,
real.
And the dryness. Yeah,
it's real.
Absolutely. It makes sense physiologically for sure. But yeah, we struggle with the dry skin and the need to exfoliate and our patients' desire to exfoliate.
They do.
And how exfoliation can increase the cell turnover as well over time. So it's a balancing act. But I also think, Patti, that's where the gel cream and the water cream can come into play.
For sure.
Depending on how much moisturization they want. I mean, they're not occlusive. They both, I love the gel cream in the summer here in Austin because it's so lightweight. The water cream for my Accutane patients are in the wintertime.
I think for the postmenopausal patient, the water cream is a winner, total winner. And they both said that they used it in their patients. And we talked about your study with procedures. So that was a great, again, I think something interesting for a consumer company to look at their product and see how tolerable it is within office procedures. That was a nice little study.
And Kavita was talking about how she used it post IPL, but photofacial, for a month. She made sure her patients were using it for a month, and she absolutely believed that it was enhancing the efficacy of that treatment, that procedure.
I thought that was interesting too. Very interesting.
Anecdotal evidence as well as kind of more clinical trial evidence. All of it's pointing to the same thing, which is this is a great peri-procedural integrated skincare product, and it ain't expensive.
No, I know. All the companies, as you and I know, they're all into this post-procedure space, especially the companies that make products for doctors because we need them. But it's nice to be able to say, hey, there's been a study done. This is an inexpensive product. You can get it over the counter. It's not going to give you trouble. And you looked at patients who had non-ablative laser, if I'm not mistaken, and microdermabrasion.
We used the Fraxel laser. We used the microneedling and chemical peel.
Yeah.
Those are the 3 cohorts of patients. And it wasn't a huge study, 10 patients per cohort, but essentially it showed that patients were real happy. They thought that it worked really well for them. They tolerated it very well. We showed that with reduction in erythema. Pretty much post-procedure, we reduced erythema really quickly with the use of the water cream.
I love that.
And then the burning and the stinging reduced 24 hours later. So we showed that at the very least, if you wanted to make sure you had data to support the use of these products with these different procedures, you had it because of the study. And then I think you could get your own anecdotal experience after that to show the efficacy, assuming that you can compare it to something else that you've done for the patient.
Yeah. And I think it's nice because a lot of times we recommend so many occlusive things. And this is such a nice light regimen that you recommended. And I think it's probably way more cosmetically elegant and acceptable. I mean, putting Vaseline or Aquaphor on your face after a procedure is not the most pleasant.